Speed's alive, engine instruments are in the green. There's 55.
I have never been a big fan of flying. In fact, there was a time many years ago when I wouldn't set a foot on a commercial airliner. When Michael decided to become a private pilot, I knew I wanted to share this hobby with him. But these tiny airplanes are a real challenge for me, especially because you can feel every little bump, and even slow winds make a flight very uncomfortable for me.
In the Bay Area, there are really three phenomena that can make your flight uncomfortable. Strong winds, often reaching over 30 knots around San Francisco. Mountain wave, which happens when smooth air gets disturbed as it pushes over a mountain, even at low speeds. And thermal turbulence, caused by hot air rising up in the afternoon on a sunny day.
Michael and I decided it would be best for now to only fly with calm winds and smooth air, which is a condition you would mostly see in the morning when both temperature and wind speeds are lowest. Today is one of those days, and I'm looking forward to an amazing breakfast waiting for us in downtown Napa.
Cessna 4 Mike Tango, traffic 12 o'clock, 1 mile, same direction, altitude indicates 900 Cessna.
Inside 934 Mike Tango.
Roger. Cessna 4 Mike Tango, advise North traffic at your 12 o'clock inside, contact them on 121.3 good day.
Over to NorCal 934 Mike Tango, thanks.
Hello, weit weg?
Yeah. Norcal approach, Skyhawk 934 Mike Tango, 1,700 climbing 5,500, and we have the traffic in front of us inside.
And 934 Mike Tango, Norcal departure, radar contact.
4 Mike Tango.
Our takeoff and climb was perfect. No bumps, smooth air. I was so happy that I was even able to take some photos and enjoy the view.
To make sure my wife would have an enjoyable flight, I planned a route that was further east than usual. This allows us to climb higher as the airspace of San Francisco International Airport doesn't reach down as far in this area. On our way to Napa, we fly past Mount Diablo with its almost 4,000 feet of elevation. I often encounter mountain waves and light turbulence here, but our detour, while putting us closer to the mountain, pays off, and with over 2,500 feet of altitude between us and the peak, the air remains smooth. As we pass Mount Diablo, it's already time to prepare for our approach to Napa. As we start our descent, ATC cancels radar services, meaning that they're no longer watching out for us and we are on our own. For some reason, this always happens when flying into Napa. It doesn't make a big difference as we're contacting Napa Tower immediately, but I do wonder every time why Napa Tower does not seem to accept handoffs from NorCal. If you know why, let me know down in the comments.
November 4 Mike Tango, no traffic is there between you and Napa. Radar service terminates, squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Have a great day.
Squawk VFR and over to advisory 934 Mike Tango, thanks. Napa Tower, Skyhawk 934 Mike Tango is about 10 miles to the southeast, inbound for a full stop with Golf.
934 Mike Tango, Napa Tower, say aircraft type.
Cessna Skyhawk 934 Mike Tango.
4 Mike Tango, left traffic, 19 left, report midfield.
Left traffic 19 left and report midfield 934 Mike Tango.
Napa Tower instructs us to enter a normal pattern for 19 left and report midfield. This means we're going to approach from the south, aiming for the midpoint of the runway and then fly a box pattern consisting of 3 legs. The downwind parallel to the runway, the base leg, and final, which lines us up with the runway.
Napa Tower, Skyhawk 934 Mike Tango is midfield for 19 left.
Cessna 4 Mike Tango, runway 19 left, clear to land.
19 left, clear to land, 934 Mike Tango.
Once in the pattern, the air gets a bit bumpier, something that is impossible to avoid this close to the ground. Napa's pattern also brings you very close to the hills on the approach end of the runway. My wife, however, handles it very well and enjoys the views on this perfect day. When approaching parallel runways, I make it a habit to fly a shallow base to final turn to make sure I stay clear of any traffic approaching the other runway.
I would like to go to transient 903 for Mike Tango.
For Mike Tango, straight ahead to the ramp, see it.
Straight ahead to the ramp, this frequency for Mike Tango.
Deswegen
Careful. 8180 is ready for departure. 19 left, like a turnout to the north.
While Michael was doing his after-flight checklist, I'm ordering an Uber that will take us to a breakfast place in downtown Napa. I love to do the research for the destinations we fly into and plan fun things to do. The cafe I found turned out to be really good, so if you ever come to Napa, by plane or car, make sure to stop at Winston's Cafe and Bakery and get the Eggs Benedict. The cafe is just a quick walk away from Main Street. After that, we strolled through downtown Napa, which was surprisingly quiet at this time of the day. The atmosphere was super relaxed and casual. I wanted to browse some stores, and we ended up buying souvenirs. We had another coffee and then drove back to the airport. Hopefully, we are early enough to beat the turbulent weather home.
As we arrive back at Napa Airport, the winds are noticeably stronger than before. A quick look at the METAR confirms this with wind speeds of 11 knots. I am hoping that my understanding of the weather in this area will prove to be right. By my calculations, despite the stronger winds, the takeoff will be smooth since there's no terrain around us that could disturb the air coming in from the sea.
Cessna 934 Mike Tango, Nap Tower, left 45 approved, runway 19 right, clear for takeoff.
1 on the right, clear for takeoff, left turn approved, 934 Mike Tango.
After a quick pre-flight and run-up, we are lining up with runway 19 right, the longer of the two parallel runways at Napa. With the temperature in the high 80s, I requested 19 right specifically to have as much runway as possible, as hot temperatures require a longer takeoff roll. It seems that so far my weather assessment is right. There are a few minor bumps during takeoff, but my wife remains calm and it probably helped that we had a perfectly smooth flight in the morning. If my assessment remains correct though, that also means that even though winds back home at Reid-Hillview are slower, the approach could get bumpy. I hope I'm wrong this time, as I know a bumpy approach back into Reid-Hillview could put today's mission at jeopardy, showing my wife how enjoyable flying is.
Takeoff 934 Mike Tango, NorCal approach. The open altimeter is 2986, remain outside the Bravo and the Charlie.
2986 outside the Bravo and Charlie, 4 Mike Tango.
On our way back home, we again pass Mount Diablo, this time at 5,500 feet, but the air remains completely smooth.
32 Towers, Skyhawk 934 Mike Tango, inbound for Kilo.
Unfortunately, my weather assessment for this flight couldn't be more on point. I opt to stay high for a longer time and choose a steeper descent, hoping I can evade some of the turbulence caused by the terrain. But as soon as we start descending, the air gets rougher and it is starting to get to my wife.
601, hold short, runway 2 right.
Hold short, 31 right, 601.
4 Mike Tango, number 2, following Cessna, 1 mile final, runway 2 right, clear to land.
Number 2, 3 on right, clear to land, 934 Mike Tango.
Hast du schon gehabt?
Ja, das ist ganz normal.
Unfortunately, dealing with nervous passengers is something that isn't discussed much during training, and so I simply try to show my wife that I'm completely calm and there's nothing to worry about. What do you do when flying with a loved one that is an anxious flyer? Let me know down in the comments. Even though the approach was bumpy, the rest of the flight as well as the breakfast was great. It really helps to have a clear goal and a mission aside from flying. After all, for most people, flying is an option to quickly get around, so making sure there's something desirable at the other end of the flight definitely helps in keeping your friends and family interested in flying with you.